My name is Andrew Rosati, and I wrote my paper on the book The Shack by William P. Young. And this book was about a man named Mac and his family who lost their daughter in a camping trip that they went to in a shack in the woods. And also in this book it takes characters such as God and Jesus and personifies them in different ways than we're used to. For example, it makes God into an African American woman. My thesis is forgiveness is not about letting something go or ignoring what someone has done to you. It is about accepting what they have done and releasing the sinner from a feeling of guilt, and never shaming that person for what they have done. And I think that this book exemplifies that perfect. Mac, against his better judgment, receives a letter, and it tells him to go back to the shack, and he does. And he goes back looking for answers about why or how or who killed his daughter. And when Mac gets to the cabin, he meets God. And Mac is extremely angry at whoever did this to his daughter, so he engages in a conversation with God about it throughout the book. God tries to explain to Mac what forgiveness is and how to forgive people, and Mac is confused about how to forgive. So God tells Mac, forgiveness is not about forgetting, it is about letting go of the person's throat. After God tells Mac this, he's confused because he thought that God forgot people's sins, but God goes on to tell Mac that it's pointless if he forgives people's sins because he's all-knowing, and if he forgot people's sins, then he's choosing to not be all-knowing. And he explains that he chooses to not bring up the past sins with people and let them interfere with the relationship that God has with that person. I think that people should try to imitate this way of thinking in their lives. They should not let a few of people's past actions interfere with how they treat that person or how they look at that person. For example, if we hold a grudge against a person who murdered another human with no previous relation to either of the people, then we are letting the murderer win because he is ruining our lives as well as he ruined their lives. And the person who killed the murderer thrives on the fact that he can bring other people down as well. And in this book, this is reflected when God tells Mac, you don't have to have a relationship with this man, at least not yet. Forgiveness does not establish a relationship. Through Jesus, I have forgiven everyone's sins, but only some of them choose to have a relationship with me. Mac, don't you see that forgiveness is an incredible power, a power that you share with us, a power that Jesus gives to all whom he dwells, so that reconciliation can grow? When Jesus forgave those who nailed him to the cross, they were no longer in his debt, nor in mine. In my relationship with those men, I will never bring up or shame them for what they did. Mac replies, I don't think I can do this, God. He's confused and he doesn't know what God wants him to do at this point. So God goes on and tells him, I want you to forgive. I want you to. Forgiveness is first for the forgiver, to release you from something that will eat you alive, that will destroy your joy and ability to love again, fully and openly. If you do not forgive people for things that they have done to you, you let them destroy your life. You will never be able to act how God wants us to act. You will be just like the one who had sinned in the first place. You must cut off the feeling of success for that original sinner that the original sinner feeds off of. By forgiving someone, you release them from a burden that they carried, and you're being a better person because you are loving them despite what they have done in their life to try to hurt you. Once the other person is forgiven, if they change how they act and think, then a relationship is possible because they are showing the one that they have offended that they can be trusted again. In conclusion, I think that this book was a great book. I like how it took characters like God and made them abnormal by changing the way that they were personified. Also, people should learn to forgive the way that this book shows us to, I believe, and then people will be able to live happier lives.
Yeah!